Ladies and gentlemen, this is your final boarding call for the good ship SS Tomorrow.
Today on The Friendly Futurist, putting the human touch back into technology. And welcome back, and I'm really slight deviation, but I would guarantee you'll love today's guest, Barbara Whitmann from Digital Wisdom. Now, often I feel it's very top-down when it comes to development, and I think that sometimes we need that human-to-human connection when developing technology, and I think this is what today's guest is all about. I think if you're listening and you've been working in big tech, I think what's missing is actually speaking to the user from the bottom up. Because I think at times it feels very top down. It's trying to dictate to the market what we actually need without actually asking us what we need. Case in point, all this AI, which coincidentally is on the verge of collapsing. It's on the verge of another AI winter. But that's another story for another day. Anyhow, I like to remind her that all technology stories are human stories. Because at the end of the day, technology is a tool. And we're having a very frank and interesting discussion with Barbara coming up after the break. And welcome back. And today we've got a very special guest with Barbara Whitmann. She joins us from Colorado in the USA, originally from Germany, and we're going to talk about the human side of technology because Barb's all about digital wisdom. And Barbara, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on your show.
We're just as thrilled having you on. Now, as with all my guests, can you just give us a quick rundown about your journey so far and start wherever you want to start?
Absolutely. So you mentioned an important piece in your intro. I'm born and raised in Germany, and now I'm in Colorado in the US. Moved here 10 years ago for love, and now I'm in Loveland, Colorado. At home, people think that's quite funny, actually. No pun intended, right? And throughout my career, I have spent a big amount of time in working on the IT side of things and actually bridging business and IT. So for about 25 years, I have pretty much rescued failed digital transformation projects. And I would step in when there was just a big mess and they needed somebody to untangle. And at first I did it for the thrill of it. I'm like, wow, this is cool. I love to solve issues that are hard to fix. It's like the Rubik's Cube, right? It's like amazing. But then I started to see a pattern, and the pattern was such that there were always really capable people within the organization that were part of the project, and they saw what needed to be done, but they just didn't have the means to speak up. So I was basically, the person that spoke for them. And in the course of fixing the project, I also empowered them to really find their voice. But then once I stepped out, the entire thing kind of fell to pieces again. And I was tired of doing the same thing over and over again. So I was like, well, how do I do something where I can make this a permanent fix and I don't have to step in all the time?
Yeah. And I guess too that, with a lot of startup owners, they got all the ideas but in the world, but they haven't got that, that process, that know-how.
Right. And as a company, you still need a little bit of consulting advice, but I think it's also important at the same time to build up your people and empower them to the extent where they can start building their own in-house ecosystem and start evolving from there. So really to build a culture where you can address things when you see them and not shy away and say, oh, no, that's not really my job, right?
Yeah. And today, of course, we're talking about your concept of digital wisdom. And what is digital wisdom?
So digital wisdom is, in a bigger sense, a paradigm shift where we are not looking at individual silos anymore as this is the tech stack and this is the people side of things and this is how we orientate ourselves in all of this. It really is a holistic view where we look at people and technology simultaneously and also see what are the effects, if I poke here, what's happening over there. It also is a concept where we see that we need to evolve and really upgrade the human if we want to make, especially in the age of AI, the human-machine relationship equal and really use it as something that is going to make us better versus something that falsely completes us.
Yeah, and I guess too that it's the human element in the equation that's often missing, I feel.
The human element is missing a big deal. We have just gotten to the grind that we are chasing after the next shiny object. And it's like, oh, look here, new technology, And the impulse is, hey, let's just get it. And then it's going to fix all of our problems. And that's true to some extent. But you make your journey a whole lot easier if you have a way to bring your people along and also use the wisdom of the crowd in the entire process of transformation, because every time you bring a new tool, something else needs to change. It's a business process, it's the way you work. And usually the people that are working in the core of your business, they are really good at seeing what needs to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess too, sometimes they probably just outside the business not listen to the users, listen to the people who are actually going to consume the product. I think sometimes that's maybe is missing as well.
That is totally true. And hey, that was also part of my business model for the longest time because as an external consultant, you get heard, right?
Yeah.
They bring you in and it's like, oh, right, we listen to that person, but we don't really listen to what our people have to say or our clients have to say. So I think we all need to learn that we also trust our resources and then get the external advice adjacent to it.
And so from a consultant's perspective, how can we approach these issues differently?
Well, we can approach it in a fairly simplistic way because I am under the belief that change starts with one person. And every company has the people who really want to make things happen. And these people are usually located in the juicy middle of the organization, right? It is the executors, the people that are in the trenches really executing a project. And it usually is the place where you cannot delegate complexity anymore. They just need to deal with it, right? These people usually feel really lonely because they have tried so many times to speak up and say, hey, that doesn't look right. And then they just become quiet. So what I have developed is a program where I give them a sandbox, basically, where they can mingle and exchange with like-minded people. So I do cohorts that are limited to 10 people, and it is across industry function and also across hierarchy. So you would find people, for example, from UX design or from IT testing or from business functions in there. And what that does is you basically take that one person that's immensely talented out of their own echo chamber. And you give them a place where they learn, first of all, how to address issues and really understand the problem first before they jump into solution. That's a huge issue in companies I see. They start doing, but they have never really understood what the issue is they're fixing. And they also learn to listen to different voices. So what they experience in the group, basically in that safe space, they can directly apply in their own company by being encouraged to go out to people they usually would not ask. Or to, address issues because they have tried it out before and they didn't die. Yeah. It's a lot of things that go on in our head, right? Alongside the meetings, we also have workbooks that address a different mindset that really strengthen these people as a leader, to encourage them to find their voice and really say what they see. Again, that's a skill they can practice in our close group. So essentially, we have to find places and create places where we also test new skills we learn as people. And we do that, by the way, with every software upgrade, right? We have a test system. We go through test cycles. We make sure it works before we actually set it live. So yes, they get new ideas. They learn about themselves. They become more self-confident. And then they can start doing things a little bit different in the organization. As you can imagine, one person may still feel lonely back in that organization, but they keep remaining in our network and they keep getting inspired. So they can start building their own little ecosystem while they stay part of ours.
Yeah, cool. I actually think that's quite clever because, we are, at the end of the day, social animals, extroversion, introversion aside. But also I think, too, that's a good way because I guess we're taking people out of their comfort zone. We take them away from that clique, and that's probably a good way of actually bringing more ideas together.
Yeah, and especially the mixed groups with different companies. They kind of see that the grass is not really greener on the other side. They kind of all deal with the same issues. And, it's not like they are spilling like the gory bits of company secrets or something. It's very, very basic things that we are discussing. Here I'm in this pickle with my stakeholders, or basically mostly in inner human things. And sometimes also, how do I select the best software? So it also dips into the best practice. But it is the maximum impact with a very small amount of time. It's about 3 to 5 hours. Those participants need to invest, and they can directly carry back the insights and apply them. Ideally, a company would have a group of 3 to 4 people that are going through the program, so they are starting to have their own back within the organization. That's how you have the multiplier effect much faster.
Yeah. Now, Barbara, just go through your website here. It's a fantastic one I do recommend. We all have heard of the knowledge economy, but what is the wisdom economy?
So if we go by the terms of Peter Drucker, that I'm sure most people know, he has coined the term of the knowledge worker. That was something that has largely shaped where we are today. But going forward, we need to look at things in a slightly different paradigm. And the wisdom economy, or how I coined it, the wisdom worker, is really somebody who is capable of working in an ecosystem and tending to an ecosystem. So the knowledge worker, it implies that we would look beyond our own fence line, right? But when we look at the wisdom economy, it really goes by the principle that we don't have any silos, and that we work seamlessly between the departments, and that we are all contributing to one common goal.
Yeah, fantastic. And speaking of ecosystem, is there a way forward, the shows like to discuss big picture ideas of humans and machines coexisting?
That is absolutely the way forward, and that's where we need to be, because, the digital evolution and AI evolution is a given. And I think we can turn it for a very powerful tool going forward. But what I would argue is that before we turn to the human and machine relationship, we really need to work on our human-to-human relationships. Because, here we are saying, well, we need to learn how to prompt an AI system now. Well, maybe we also have to learn how to ask better questions to our coworkers, right? So that is something that we cannot neglect. So we need to build this collective intelligence and really learn how to mingle better in our teams and dip into that resource. And then we can powerfully leverage an AI system as an extension of such, right? So I think there is an order of things that ideally is followed.
Yeah. And as this podcast is about the future, how you see the world in, say, the 2030s and beyond?
I think it's going to be a very exciting place. If we're looking at what's going on, especially with AI, I am very optimistic that we can make the world a better place with the technology that we are having now. So I could see that we are really advancing much faster in some of the research fields, that we are dealing in a much more sophisticated way with resources like water, and that we are really establishing a relationship that is propelling us forward. I think we as humans need to find our place, and it largely is to establish who we are. what are we good at? And essentially, we also need to look at our own little egos, because the machine could potentially also scrape on those,
Yeah. So I guess it really is a case for cautious optimism.
It's not just cautious optimism for me, it's a huge portion of optimism. But again, we as people need to approach the future with an open mind. And also, we need to learn to innovate slightly different, because if we keep thinking in our boxes as we know them, right, it's not really lending itself to finding new ways on how to do it. And yes, we will change how we level out functions in companies and who is doing what. But I see that more optimistic than most people. I've consulted a lot in the retail field. And, when those self-checkout cash registers came out and everything, that was the big upheaval. And I think we could pinpoint to many examples like that in our evolution as people.
Yeah.
I mean, coming from the horse to the steam machine to plow the field. And we have always found new ways of how to use us as resources better in the game. So we cannot get stale in terms of saying, but I've always done this and I need to be in this place. We need to look at this as an opportunity to learn and evolve.
Yeah. And before I wrap things up, Barbara, is there anything I didn't ask but should?
Boy, that's a loaded question. So I think one thing that is important when we look towards the future is that, and that also leans into that wisdom theme, that we really look at a bigger picture and that we start connecting the dots more, because technology is an amazing thing, but we have to use it for the good of people and for the planet. So also those who are making the decisions, they need to look a little bit more into the future. When you look at, the people that have come before us, like where I live here, they always said decisions need to be done for the next 7 generations. And
Wow.
I think we also need to ask more towards the future. So if we are storing data like this, what does that mean? And maybe 7 generations is a little bit far-fetched, but we definitely need to see what is the legacy we are creating for the next ones to come.
Yeah, I like the idea of, planting a tree that will never see the fruit fall. That's a great
Yeah.
long-term thinking. I really like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And before we wrap things up, Barbara, I'm really enjoying our chat today. Where else can we find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn and follow me there. I post daily with insights and what's going on for me and how things are evolving. And you can also find my website and as digitalwisdomcollective.com and find a little bit of something of what we do. There's also a booking link on there, and I'm always happy to have a chat with people to see how I can support.
Yep. Fantastic. I'll make sure those in the show notes. Barbara, thank you very
Great.
much for coming on this morning.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for listening. The Friendly Futurist is a Podcast West production and has been produced and edited by me, Dave Monk. If you love this show, please leave us a 5-star review on your favourite platform. That way it can help me grow. Until next time, friends, remember to stay curious and the future is user-friendly.
Another Podcasts West production.
This podcast is just for educational purposes and it's not financial advice. I'm not a financial planner or advisor. Please do your homework and seek professional help before you take on any adventures.